So there's one more part to the final. It is multiple choice, which sounds great until you realize that, guess how we wrote those choices? We went, oh, let's see, what will our students most likely do wrong? So, yeah, they're all answers that you will come up with by making silly mistakes. All right, who remembers distance formula? Okay, hang in, we get this cursor working, there we go. Remember, Hofbauer just taught it as Pythagorean theorem. If you go from here to here, you have change in x and change in y. To square those, you get the hypotenuse squared over here. So it's change in x squared plus change in y squared, and then you square root, and that'll give you the distance. So any order we want, we need to find the difference between these. I can just visualize in my head from negative 11 all the way up to positive 3 is 14, but you could also subtract. Any order you want, because you're going to square it anyway. 2 to 5, that's sounding a lot like 3. So in my little pea brain, it was 14 squared plus 3 squared. 196 and 9 is 205. Anybody helping me out here? Okay. It might be left square root of 205. It might be a decimal approximation. Does it really matter? Because you have a calculator, it's multiple choice. So you could type in all the choices and figure out which one is equivalent to what you got, right? Okay. I think that's like 21 times 5, which is not reducible. All right, midpoint. Average, right? Average the x's, average the y's. So negative 11 plus 3 are the x's. 2 plus 5 are the y's. This would be negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. This would be 7 halves. Any questions? Remember distance and midpoints? I am surprised by the number of people for whom this final makes a difference, by the way. Well, yeah, exactly. Is it going to turn out good or is it going to turn out bad? But people who are on the line between one grade and another. Okay. If f of x is a parabola and g of x is a line, find f minus g. Oh, what is everybody going to forget to do? Yes, you have to subtract g, and that means you have to distribute the negative. So we have x squared minus 2x plus 4 minus 4x and a plus 1, or x squared minus 6x plus 5. How did I do? Okay, don't factor. Doesn't say to factor. Just said find f minus g. If this is true, find f of a plus 5. So you're putting in a plus 5 in both of these places. So we get a plus 5 quantity squared plus 4 times a plus 5 plus 8. Is this one a squared plus 25? These don't. It's a plus 5 quantity times itself, so it's a squared plus 5a and another 5a, or 10a plus 25. Then you have back here a 4a plus a 20 plus an 8. Anybody combine all that for me? Plus how much? But I can pretty much guarantee one of the choices is what happens if you just do a squared plus 25, right? right, sketch a graph that represents a function that has an inverse that is also a function. So, a graph that is a function means it has to pass what? Okay, vertical line to make it a function. Its inverse is also a function, means it also passes the horizontal line test. So a line would work. This would work, right? Half a parabola sideways would work. Any questions? So if I gave you 4 different graphs, you could pick out which one passed both, okay? Or which one didn't, if it asked the other way. We good? Number 5. What do you want to do here? Combine these. How do we combine those? Log base 4. Minus means divide and combine to a single log, so we have 2x over 7. This one equals log base 4 of 40, so now because we have 2 logs, one on each side, same base, we can do what? Yeah, we just have 2x over 7 has to equal 40. If I kind of cross multiply that, I get 2x equals 7 times 40, or 280. X equals 140. Anybody? Number 6. Oh, domain. Okay. I'm not too sure that just graphing is going to get you a very good answer. Do you remember what this looked like? Exponential growth. But it doesn't stop, right? And the calculator makes it look like it stops depending on the window. So you gotta be real careful. So what can I put in for x on that graph? Yeah. Okay. What is a log, though? Log of any base is the inverse of that, which means reflected across the line y equal x, so it looks like this, okay? Any base will have that same shape, unless there's some other transformation going on. So what is the domain, or the x? Okay, soft bracket, it can go right up to 0. If you graph that on your calculator, you might not get that. I don't know how many of you remember how to graph log base 6 on your calculator, but any questions? It would be y equals math up arrow to find log base. Now base 6 is going to make it real skinny unless you change. Oh, start with a zoom 6. Now, do you see where I'm talking about? It's going to be hard to tell that it doesn't stop there. If you trace, it will look, even then, it will jump, okay? But if you were to say positive 0.01, it is down at -2. If you did positive 0.0001, it is getting closer and closer to 0 here, but it is still going. Okay. Questions? The log base. Okay. It's math, up arrow, log base. You may not have it. It would be on mine. You can use my calculator for that, but the older ones don't have it. All right. All we have to do is treat I like it's a variable until when? Yep, when it's an I squared, we're going to replace it with a -1. So if I FOIL this together, I get -72 minus 30i if we're doing outside. Inside I have plus 12i. Last times last is plus 5i squared, which will become -72. These two combine to become -18i. And 5 times -1 will be -5 back there. So I got -77 minus 18i. Anybody disagreeing? I don't have an answer key up here, so please yell if I do something silly. Part B. Anybody remember how we get rid of I in the denominator? Yes, we multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. What is the conjugate of 1 minus 4i? So we have the top times 1 plus 4i over the bottom times 1 plus 4i. So the top, when we FOIL it together, is 2 plus 8i plus 5i plus 20i squared. The bottom is 1 plus 4i minus 16i squared. So what does plus 20i squared become? Plus that 2 out front would make it -18 plus 13i. These two cancel each other out. Minus 16i squared will be replaced with a plus 16. So we have a 1 plus 16, which would be 17. Might be written like that because it's supposed to be written a plus bi form, right? Questions? Okay, write the slope-intercept form of the line perpendicular through here, perpendicular to here. So I'm going to use point slope, which starts out y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. What is the slope if I want a perpendicular to that? Okay, I have to flip it over and change the sign, so the perpendicular slope will become positive 5. And then it's going through this x and this y. So I'm going to put those numbers in here. Be real careful. I saw on the post-test there was a question where you had to find equation of line. I saw some people do this and put the x's and the y's in the wrong spot. So this would be y minus 3. The slope was 5 and the x value was 5. So we have y minus 3 equals 5x minus 25 plus 3 would be y equals 5x minus 22. Now I could check that putting a 5 in here would give me 25 minus 22 is 3. And it indeed does have a slope perpendicular to that, so we're good. Questions? Factor completely if we know this is a factor. So what do we do first? Synthetic division with what in the little box? -2. We have 1, -5x squared, -8x, and 12. I don't think I need any zeros or placeholders, right? Bring down, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. I did not get that is a factor. Did I make a mistake somewhere? Oh, right there, that's 0. Okay, yep, multiply carefully, watch your signs carefully. But that's the whole point, right? Is that if I did do something wrong, if it doesn't come out 0, because it says is a factor. Now, this is the remainder. This is a constant. This gets an x. This gets an x squared. So I have x squared minus 7x plus 6. It says factor this completely. So what am I going to do? X minus 6, x minus 1 would give me a positive 6 and a minus 7. Okay, is this the answer I'm going to look for on the choices? What else do I have to have? Okay, in whatever order, it doesn't have an f of x, so I'm just, in whatever order I should find the choice that had all 3 of those factors, right? Question? Uh-oh. Because another domain question. I don't know why students struggle so much with domain, but remember, I have a slide somewhere, but it says there's only 2 things that make a domain restriction. The denominator cannot equal 0, and anything under a radical of even index, in other words, like a square root, has to be what? Positive. But can it equal 0? Yes. So for this problem, whatever's under the radical has to be greater than or equal to 0. Okay? Denominator cannot equal 0. Whatever is underneath the radical has to be greater than or equal to 0. Those are the only 2 things we have to worry about. So if we solve this, we get x is greater than or equal to negative 5/2. It says in interval notation, the or equal to means it's a square bracket. And, yep, it's not 0. Everything greater than would mean to infinity with a parenthesis. Yes, no, maybe. If you graph that, you might be able to get there. It's the square root of 2x plus 5, is that right? You just have to figure out that it actually can equal negative 2.5 or 5/2. Because the graph, if you just look at the graph, looks like it doesn't, right? But it actually does hit there. Say that again. The interval, you good? All right, number 11, maximize the profit. How do we do that? Yeah, into this guy up here, right? So 10x plus 30y. If I put in 0, 7, I'd have 0 plus 210 is 210, I think. Did I do that one right? 411 would be 40 plus 330. Somebody can tell me if I do one wrong. 811 would be 80 plus 330. Did I do 410, is that right? 12.5 would be 120 plus 150. And 12.0 would be 120. So the maximum profit would be 410 at 811. But I can make it, I can make the maximum profit occur any one of those corners based on how I write that red equation. equation, which is the objective function. Everybody good? It's possible that that is a gridded response question. I can't remember, but we can talk about that. There's some practice on gridded response in here, I believe. Accurately graph the piecewise function. Ooh, aren't you excited to know that's in there? What shape is this, guys? It's a parabola that's been shifted down 5. So it's down here at -5. And it's a parabola. You could graph it on your calculator. X squared minus 5, right? Okay, except what are we going to do? It's only going to count from -3 to 2. Is that what that says? So I have to erase it. Well, here, I can use my calculator graph. Trace -3. It is at 4. So at -3, +4 over here. Solid or dotted? Or solid or open circle? It was at -3, so it's solid because of the or equal to. But this one is open at 2. If I go back to my calculator and I put in a 2, it says 2 -1 is where I'm going to go to. And that one's open. Okay, so the calculator did help me get some points. And what is the other equation? Okay. So if I put in x minus 3, I get a line. But I only want the piece of that line that starts from where? +2? But I want to be on the line equation. I'm going to hit enter. No. Well, it might because they meet at the same spot. I can up arrows to make sure I'm on the same line. You said 2? There we go. So 2 -1. What do we do when they start and stop at the same spot? Yeah, you just fill it in. You don't have to tell me it one started and the other stopped because it was the same spot. And what is the slope of that line doing, guys? Up 1/1. Okay. It is not multiple choice. That is a free response question on the test. It's not all multiple choice. All right, little more practice. Again, if you wanted to use your calculator, you could find some ordered pairs. Somebody read me the equation. 2 parentheses. 4? Okay, so that's what it looks like. I want values between -3 and 0. So like if I go to the table, I can just take this little set of values. Okay. I just want the ones that go from -3 to, well, what did it say? From -3 to 0? I was like, I don't think I'm going to get up to 68. Okay, this, I thought I had this all cool here, but okay. Copy. Paste. So there's some points on it. -3, -2. Do I want a solid or open circle there? Yep. But at 0, 4, what do I want? Yeah, because it says when I put in a 0, So at 0, 4, it's open. Okay, in between there, I had -2, -4, -1, -2. So it's doing this little piece. Oh, I don't think I need a calculator for this. What is -3? It's just a solid line down here at -3. But where does it start? Yeah, it's 0, -3, and what kind of a dot? Because of this, I have a solid dot at 0, -3. Questions? Can I remember this now? All right. Oh, dear Lord. Do we remember how to factor a cubic? A cubed plus B cubed factors A plus B, and then what? A squared, and there's a B squared at the back and an AB in the middle. But then it's same here, opposite, and always positive. So if this was plus, this is actually... All right, so what are the cube roots of this one? 2x and -1. All right, if it's minus up here, then this one is minus and this one is plus. So when you square the a, though, be careful, because 2x squared is not 2x squared. It's 2x times 2x, which is 4x squared. Then it's one of these times one of these, so 1 times 2x is 2x. And the 1 squared is just 1. Last one's always positive, but what's the sign in between the 4x squared and the 2x? Positive. Okay, so what are the signs going to be on this next one? Positive in the first parenthesis and then negative, positive back here. All right, cube root of that is 5x and 3, good. 5x quantity squared would be 25x squared. One of each would be 5x times 3, or 15x. And 3 squared at the back would be 9. I squeezed that in there pretty well. Can almost read it. All right. This is on there, and I think it's a free response question. I tell you what everybody's going to do. They're going to distribute the 2 and get it wrong. What do you have to do first, Xavier? Divide it by 2. So we get x plus 1 quantity squared equals 25. Now it's looking pretty nice, because what happens? When we square root, let me move this. Okay, maybe not. I'll just keep going. I'll just use a different color here. Little box around this. Okay, up here we get x plus 1 equals, be careful, you square rooted a squared, so it's plus or minus 5. So then if you subtract 1, and if it was a radical, you could leave it -1 plus or minus, square root of 3 or whatever. But because it's a whole number, we need to separate them. -1 plus 5 would be positive 4, and -1 minus 5 would be -6. 4 or -6, either one will make that true. Questions about that one? Ooh, find the equation. Okay, absolute value of x is parent, absolute value of x, and x squared. Is that the answer? No. Okay, how do you do absolute value of x? It used to go, the parent looked like this. Right 1, down 3. How do I do right 1, down 3? Okay, opposite inside, so right 1, good.
And then you add
Okay, down 3. How do I find A? The stretch, it says be sure to find A.
You have to put a little negative with the value.
Then it would open down.
Oh, wow, I thought we were doing the next one.
And the next one has more than a negative out front. Okay. The origin? No, we can't put in 1, 3. We have to put something else in. Yeah, you could find the slope, but you could put in like, what is that point right there? 3, -2? Okay, so I'd have -2 equals A, 3 minus 1 minus 3. This is multiply, remember. So 3 minus 1 is 2. I'd have 2A with a minus 3 back here. If I add 3, add 3. I get 1 equals 2A, so A is 1/2. If it is an absolute value, like Destiny said, that's the right name, yes? All of a sudden I'd like, did I say your name wrong? I had a little stroke there, sorry. Up 1 over 2, right? The positive branch is going up 1 and over 2. It is just the slope. But if it's a parabola, it's not the slope. There is no slope on a parabola. So, want to do this one real quick? We will just cheat. What is the slope doing here, guys?
Going down.
I think it's down 3, isn't it? So the slope is -3. The vertex has gone left 1, which would be +1. And it is shifted up 4. That one seem okay? All right. So where is the vertex of this thing? General form for a parabola is a x minus h squared plus k. That's vertex form. So we want to say, we don't know what the stretch is, but it's to the right 1, which would be -1, and up 3. And we know A should turn out to be what? Negative. Okay. What's a nice ordered pair you think we could put in? This one right here, -1, 1. So -1 here. +1 for y. And we got to be real careful because, again, this is all multiplied together. -1 minus 1 would be -2, but when you square it, it would become, so we have 4a plus 3 equals 1. Anybody else get -1/2? Could you type that in your calculator and make sure it looked exactly like that? Do you remember where the absolute value is on your calculator if you wanted to test like this one?
Sort of. No.
It's y equals, where's all the weird stuff? Yeah, it's under math. Yeah, it is second zero as well. Or under math and then arrow over was absolute value. Okay. So if you wanted to test one of those, are we good? What?
What's the word second half? We'll be fine. Halfway.
I still don't understand what you said, but determine if these are even, odd, or neither. You can graph them. What is the difference? Even, give me an example of an even function. Is that even? Even means y-axis symmetry. Remember this? Odd would look like this. Okay, origin symmetry, which means you can spin it 180. And it should look the same. All right, so the first one, x cubed plus 4x. Looks like this. What are you thinking? Odd? Are both the exponents odd? 3 and 1, right? Both the exponents are odd? Okay, the second one is... I think it's going to be odd. Is it negative 2 over x, guys? Okay. If you spin that 180, it's still going to look the same, right? Then we have 2. What do you think about this one? What do you know about a square root shape? Yeah, it's just got one branch, right? So I don't think it's going to be either one. 2 square root of, what was it? X plus 1. It's looking like a neither. And x to the 4th plus 5x squared. Sounds like an even. Okay. So we had odd, neither, and even. We good? All right. Use the app to find the monthly payment on a house and the total paid. And we're going to put in the monthly payment here because you do have some practice using these gridded responses because they are on the SAT. So we want you to practice this. This is an app question. Enter, enter. N, the mortgage was 20 years, so it's 20 times 12. 8% it is. Thank you. Present value, they're borrowing how much?
106,006.
Okay, we're trying to find their payment. Future value is 0, and it's monthly. So when you put that all in carefully, go back to payment and do what? It's not second enter. Alpha enter. Okay, but we're not going to write it down as negative. 886.63. 886.63. Okay. I am quite likely to check these over, so make sure you write in this box, because if you accidentally bubble wrong, I can still give you the credit, because we're not used to doing them this way, so I will probably look them over. Does that make sense? Okay, total paid, you would do 886.63 times 20 times 12, or 240. Anybody have that number for me? 1? 20. Okay, anyway, over 212, almost $213,000 for a $106,000 house. All right. 18. Oh, yo, 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 yo. Okay, free response. All the way through into what? By the common denominator. Okay, when you multiply everything by 30, what will happen? Yes, we'll have 30 times 1 divided by 6 is 5. That one has an X. 30 times 2 divided by 5 is 12. Equals 30 times 2x, which would be 60x. Don't forget that one. 30 times 11 divided by 2, 165. Okay. Now we have an equation that only has x's, no fractions. $177 divided by 55, anybody? Which doesn't reduce, okay. There's your exact answer. Number 19 is quadratic formula, right? I feel like this is not on here again because it was on the last part. So I'm going to skip that one for this video purpose at the moment. What do we do on number 20? Square both sides. When you square the left, you get what? But when you square the right, minus 30x's plus 225, 15 times 15. Then you have to make it equal to 0 by subtracting these over here. So we get x squared minus 31x plus 220, which factors x minus 11 and x minus 20 maybe? Does that work, guys? So we get x equals 11 or 20. One of those I have to throw away. Does anyone know why? If I put 11 minus 15 in, I get negative 4. Can a square root be negative? If I put a 20 in, I get square root of 25 equals 5. That seems like a pretty good answer, right? We got to multiply through by the common denominator. We'll just finish tomorrow. I got a few more problems. Does that seem okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to finish so this is all in one recording. You factor first. And then you use the common denominator to multiply through, which is going to be an x and an x plus 3, an x and an x plus 3, an x and an x plus 3. So here the x plus 3 will cancel. You get 2x squared. Here the x only will cancel. So you have minus 3 times x plus 3. You are going to have to distribute that as a negative 3. And over here, all of this cancels, so we have equals 5. 2x squared minus 3x minus 9 minus 5 equals 0. I move it over at the same time. 2x squared minus 3x minus 14. 2x and x. I'm thinking 7 and 2. Let's see. 2 back here, 7 here would give me 7x and 4x. If I had a negative 7x plus 4x, I'd get a negative 3 in the middle, and they do multiply to make negative 14. So x equals 7 over 2 and negative 2. And neither one of those make the denominator 0. We could have said back here that we should watch for x cannot equal 0 or negative 3. We didn't get those, so both of these answers should work. All right, there is one like that, and it is free response. Number 22 says, given that a city population is decreasing at a rate of 2% or 0.02, so the original population was 148,522 times 1 minus 0.02 to the x, or we're going to end up putting in 19 years later. So we have 148,522 times 1 minus 0.02 all to the 19th. This is people. So we're going to write down that the population would be 101,178. Okay. And if that was a gridded response question, it would probably ask you to only grid the people. I think it's a free response question, though. All right. This is what Ms. Abruzzo calls a baby base question. You need to make those bases the same. So 2 to the 3x equals 8 is 2 to the 3rd. And then remember, you're multiplying these. So, and they have the same base now, so we can set these equal. 3x equals 3, and this is the one everybody forgets to distribute on. I subtract 6x over here. I get negative 3x equals negative 15, which divides, and I get a positive 5. Now, on the ACT, you could put 5 or 5. I'm going to just do it at the end here. You don't have to bubble the 0, 0, 5. You could just put a 5 like that. Okay. Condensing. Let's see, this means divide. 1 log, remember condense means a single log. It's base E, so we don't need anything. Then we have 5 over y, and a plus means it goes in the top. All right. 1/2 means the 1/2 power back here, and 2 means to the 2nd power. But you have to know that a 1/2 power means a square root. And this is a c squared, but this one is minus. This is a positive. So we have the log base 5 of 6 times b to the 1/2, or the square root of b, divided by c squared. All right, expand. You have to expand each little piece. So we're going to expand here and here. So we have log base 7 of 9. It's multiplied by log base 7 of b, which is multiplied or plus log base 7 of t. Cube root is to the 1/3 power, which we're going to move out here, and either write log base 7 of 9 plus log base 7 of b plus 1/3 log base 7 of t, or you could write this as plus log base 7 of t all over 3. That's how CUDA does it on some of the practice worksheets. This is equivalent to this. All right. Remember, when you have more than one thing in the denominator, they both are minus. So this one is going to be a lot of steps, and I don't have much room. Maybe I can put it on the next page. So this would be ln of 6 plus ln of x cubed, which I'm going to have to move, and then it's minus ln of 3. All of this is in the denominator. If you want to say it's plus, you would need parentheses, ln of the quantity a minus 2. If it's a multiple choice question, I'm pretty sure the choice you're going to have to pick is going to look like this. Because both of these are in the denominator, so it's minus and minus. Okay, so this guy went out front, and I distributed this. All right. Did I just do that problem? Okay. Monthly, so 2,500. Compound interest, you will have the sheet, 0.043. Monthly. Monthly goes 12 out here for 4 years. So we have 2,500 times 1 plus 0.043 divided by 12, and it's okay, it knows to divide before it adds, so you don't need extra parentheses in there. And then it's 12 times, I already forgot, 4 years. Okay. So we need to put this to the nearest penny. And then we need to bubble it over here. It would be 2968.28. 2968.28. And if you round wrong to the nearest cent, it's going to be wrong. Just heads up. All right. This is a calculator question. We need to type this in, and we must have parentheses around the denominator. So we go to y equals. And we put 5,000 divided by parenthesis 1 plus 49 second ln, which will give me e to the power of negative x divided by 5, all up in the little exponent. So it looks like this. Then I'm going to arrow to the right. So I'm out of the exponent and close the parenthesis. If we're graphing it, we can't have negative time. We might need to go out, I don't know, 30 years, I'll say, I don't know. And then the top number was 5,000. So I'm going to put 5,500. I think it was 5,000. Let's see if oh, okay. So it's not growing as fast as I thought. We might need to go out a lot further here to see it flatten out. All right. So it says, how many fish were there at 2 months? And when does the population reach 3,400 fish? So if I do trace 2, I get 148 fish because we need to round this to a whole number. I'm going to go back and put some more things on here. The window. Okay, and then the second part says, when does it hit 3,400? So I'm going to go into y sub 2 and put 3,400. And some of you, quite a few actually, got this wrong on the quiz because you did not put that line in and find the actual point of intersection. And you have to have this rounded correctly. It's 23.2. If you put 23.3, it's going to count it wrong. All right. So I'm going to put all these down here at the bottom. So you can see what I typed in, what the graph looked like, all that good stuff. But this one was 147.7 or 148 fish, because it says round to the nearest whole number. 148. And this one was 23.2 months. So 23.2. And because it's graded response, if you don't round correctly, it's just wrong. All right. Last two? No? Oh my goodness. All right. 29. This is a parabola that opens down, and its vertex is at 311. You can certainly graph it on your calculator, but that would make it a maximum. And the y value has a maximum of 11. If this as an x coordinate of its vertex is at, okay, you could certainly graph this and find the max, or the min, I'm sorry. Because it's a parabola that opens down, or up. Oh, I'm confused, but looks like this. The formula we used, though, is negative b over 2a. It's called the vertex finder recipe. So you'd have the opposite of negative 12 over 2 times 3, which would become 12 over 6 or 2. So the vertex would be at 2 something, and it only asked for its x coordinate. If I plugged it back in, I'd get the whole vertex, or you could use it from the graph. Find the coordinates of the whole. You have to factor the top, factor the bottom, uh, 5 and 3, and be real careful because it's going to make a difference here. Remember, negative 10 plus 3 to get a negative 7 in the middle here. So the whole is at this factor. 2x plus 3 equals 0 makes x negative 3/2. And then the other part of the whole is what you get when you put negative 3/2 in after you cancel. So 2 times negative 3 halves minus 3 all over negative 3 halves minus 5. So I'm just going to use negative 1.5. Two times negative 3 halves, or negative 1.5. And then it was minus 3. And the denominator was just negative 3 halves minus 5. So I have negative 6 over negative 6.5. Math, enter, enter, is 12/13. Where's my calculator? There we go. So 12/13, was it positive? I forgot already. Yes. So that's where the hole exists. All right, this little question over here has x in the exponent, so I'm going to have to take the log of both sides. So first, I'm going to subtract 7, which I think is 34. And then you take the log of both sides. Bring the x out in front. And then you're going to divide by the log of 6. So I'm going to type the log of 34. Close parenthesis, divided by the log of 6. And remember, I could have done ln same way. Get the same answer. So, doesn't say what to round to. I'm going to put 1.968. All right. All right, then we have all these lovelies. This is the original function. So this changed this way, horizontal stretch. This one, ooh, the x values didn't change. Thinking. But the y values, it doesn't go up as high. It's vertically shrunk. Okay, these will be multiple choice questions, but a horizontal stretch inside is changing x value, so it goes inside, and a stretch is actually going to be less than 1, so it might look like that. A vertical shrink will be outside, changing y values, and a shrink does exactly what it seems. So we need to find something like those for A and B. 1/2 x inside would look like this, and the whole thing over 2 would be the 1/2 on the outside. All right, then choice C, from the original here. I need to take a copy of that, I think. So if I put the original on this page, try to make it the same size. Ooh, I think this one has reflected across the y. So that's this way. Change the sign on the x values so it's f of negative x, which is this one. D, move this down here, is upside down, but it's not just upside down, because upside down would still be like this. It's also shifted, so if this used to be at 5 or 10 or whatever number that is, it has been shifted up. So my little scribble that was the upside down has also been shifted up here like this. So, okay, I'm going to erase this upside down and up. Which would be changing y outside, and up would be plus something on the outside. So what are my choices here? I'm talking about D. Upside down. Oh, is it over as well? Well, upside down and up looks like this one. Let's go. Oh, I guess it is over too. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Yes, because upside down would just, and then it's, if I'm doing this one, actually, is that reflected across the x and the y? I'm so confused. What are my choices here? It's definitely upside down. Right, so maybe it is just upside down, that one. So that would be back here at this one. I don't even know what page I'm on now. E. So I'm going to go with this one as E. Oh, that's because I'm looking at this one. Okay, this one is upside down, up and to the right. Okay, so we're going to go down here and go. This one is D. All right, I was looking at the wrong one. That's a nice video moment. Okay, now I'm looking at this one. This one is shrunk in this way. That is a horizontal shrink. Changing x's inside, opposite of what it thinks. Instead of 1/2, it's going to be 2, which f then will be this one. All right, moving this over one more time. This has changed x values, not y values, and it has shifted. The size is the same. It's shifted right because this was over here and now it's here. So it's shifted right. I don't know. It looks like right 6, so it should be this one. I gotta erase this mark. And I'm going to move my original one up here. And this is shifted left. And I would say only left because the height up here at the top is still the same here. So left, I'm going to go with is H here. All right, and I will that puts me down here. If I can paste my original again. So the original and this one down here, this is a vertical stretch. The X values are still the same, but it's taller. So vertical stretch is changing Y's, so it's on the outside. And it makes them taller, so it's by 2 or 3 or something out there. That's choice I. So that's this guy up here. This one is from the original. Let me move the original over here. Comparing it to this one, it's definitely upside down. But I would say it is also shifted because if I sketch this upside down, it's just going to be here and here. And this one looks like it is shifted down and left, upside down, down, and left. So I hope we haven't done that one. Upside down would be this, left, and down. So J is going to go here. All right, and then move my original one more time over here. And all of the negative stuff got flipped over up here. So it's absolute value. And it's the Y's that changed. So it's this absolute value. All right, I hope we hit them all. So this turned out to be K. All right, so there's the whole thing in one video.